Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty wild: how an AI tool originally designed strictly for elite software engineers is quietly becoming the ultimate antidote to digital burnout for, well, absolutely everyone. We're going to unpack OpenAI's Codex and explore how a system built to churn out complex software has rapidly morphed into an everyday, general-purpose partner for knowledge workers all over the globe. So picture this. You build a powerhouse AI for top-tier coders, only to realize something kind of funny. Even the best software engineers spend roughly 70% of their day doing things that have literally nothing to do with writing code. You know the drill: chasing down tickets, summarizing endless meetings, digging around for information, and just navigating a sea of communication. When the team behind Codex realized their own AI could actually take over this massive administrative burden, the entire trajectory of the technology completely shifted. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Beyond Software Engineering. To really grasp the magnitude of this, we've got to look at how unbelievably fast Codex has evolved. Just 2 years ago, it started out as a highly specific, somewhat clunky web interface for generating pull requests on GitHub. But frankly, it caused too much friction for developers who already had their workflows dialed in. So a year ago, they pivoted to make it run locally. And today, it's evolved into a completely different beast. Because the underlying models became so incredible at gathering context and summarizing information, it naturally became a general-purpose agent for all knowledge workers, not just coders. The real aha moment for the team actually happened during a super high-pressure product launch. Tiburcio, the head of Codex, was in a meeting with Alexander, their lead product manager, and while they were actively having a conversation, Alexander was just seamlessly using Codex in the background to chase up team members on Slack, pull user feedback, and update launch docs in real time. He basically delegated all the tedious coordination work to his AI, which freed him up to be completely 100% present in the actual meeting. Moving right along to Section 2, the personal chief of staff. What we're talking about here is a fundamental shift in how we interact with technology. We're moving away from being trapped by our tools, constantly feeding manual input into a dozen different apps, and moving toward having a tireless, personalized chief of staff. Take Tiburcio, for example. He fires off over 100 tasks to Codex every single day. He has automation set up so that right at 9 a.m., the agent scans his Gmail, reads his Notion docs, checks his calendar, and then hands him a neat summary of his day, automatically flagging any projects that might be at risk. It even investigates minor bug reports from Twitter and organizes his desktop files. It just drastically reduces his cognitive load so he can focus on actual problem solving. And this highlights a massive historical shift in how businesses operate. Think about the old way. If you had a question about, say, regional sales metrics, you would just submit a ticket and just wait in a data analyst queue for weeks to get a simple answer. The new way? The person with the problem can instantly build a solution. You just ask Codex to pull up the dashboard, and bam, you get your insights instantly. You completely bypass those old, frustrating bottlenecks. Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, creating home-cooked software. We are literally entering an era where you don't write code anymore. You just speak it into existence to create what they call home-cooked software, stuff made exactly for your unique needs. Thibaut shared this awesome personal example about a San Francisco sourdough bread hunt. Using just natural language, his voice, he commanded Codex to find the best local bakeries. Step 1, the AI scraped the web for data. Step 2, it generated a detailed spreadsheet with descriptions and prices. But he wanted a visual, so step 3, he simply asked Codex to turn that spreadsheet into a web map. Instantly, it generated a fully interactive, personalized web page mapping out his entire bread journey. 10 minutes. Seriously, that entire process took just 10 minutes. What historically would have taken a developer an entire weekend of intense coding, scraping, and debugging took a mere 10 minutes of zero attention background work by the AI. Thibaut gave the prompt, grabbed a coffee, and went back to his day while Codex built his custom software. Of course, all this power brings us to Section 4, building enterprise trust. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Unleashing an autonomous agent to read your files, map your data, and send emails? What about security? It's the elephant in the room, right? Well, OpenAI tackles this by running these agents inside a strict sandbox. It's exactly like how a human employee has restricted access to sensitive company files. The agent is kept tightly controlled within specific silos. You can lock it down to a single folder, give it read-only permissions so it can't delete anything, or even completely cut off its network access entirely. But it gets even more clever. They've introduced this concept of an auto-review umpire. It's basically a referee agent whose sole purpose in life is to strictly monitor the primary working agent. If your working agent attempts something that looks even slightly risky, like modifying a critical system file or drafting a weird external email, this umpire steps in, stops the action dead in its tracks, and suggests a safer alternative. All right, moving into Section 5, the era of autonomous goals. So, with enterprise trust firmly locked in, this tool is rapidly expanding way beyond quick 10-minute mapping tasks. We are talking about solving massive, long-horizon problems autonomously. There's this incredibly powerful feature being tested right now called the /goal command. Instead of a quick prompt, you instruct Codex to work relentlessly on complex problems. You can set an agent to tackle advanced math, hunt for physics breakthroughs, or entirely rewrite a program from one coding language to another, and it will just run in the background for hours, days, or literally weeks on end until it hits that goal. Now for the practical stuff in Section 6, Mastering the Agent. With all this raw potential at your fingertips, how do you actually get good at directing it without getting frustrated by weird or vague outputs? The community Q&A in our source material highlighted some absolutely crucial best practices. First off, treat the AI exactly like a brand new hire who needs deep context. Don't be vague, give hyper-specific outcome metrics. For instance, tell it, I need a 10-slide deck and the last two must be specifically for Q&A. Next, you have to connect it to your ecosystem. Hook up your calendar, your docs, and use the 100-plus plugins available. And finally, this is key, it can't read your mind. Actually write down your personal thoughts, preferences, and goals in a document so the agent can read it and align with how you work. But hey, quick warning here. There is one massive mistake you want to avoid, and every successful user needs to hear this. Do not delegate so much that you lose your own understanding. If you're just blindly asking the AI to spit out a final product without grasping the mechanics of it, you're going to lose your grounding. The real power move? Use Codex to learn. Ask it to explain its logic to you. Have it draw out diagrams of complex code bases or launch plans. Use it to elevate your total understanding of your own work, not just to do the work for you. I really love how Chris Nicholson wrapped this up at the end of the source material. He pointed out that this isn't just about software anymore. We are officially moving past traditional software engineering into universal knowledge work. You see, the word codex literally translates to book, and this AI is fundamentally transforming how we organize, understand, and write the very books of our professional and personal lives. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I've got a question for you to chew on today. Take a hard look at your own desk, your own inbox, your own daily friction. What is that one tedious, soul-crushing workflow bogging you down right now that this technology could completely transform for you by the end of the day? Thanks so much for hanging out with me to explore this, and I challenge you to go out there and experiment with this completely new way of working.